Good afternoon, everybody. Keith Engle here. TGI Sports Talks MLB update. How's everybody doing? It's been a little while since we've been here. Good afternoon, everybody. But we'll get you up to date on everything that's been going on since we went away, and we went on a little bit of a hiatus for nearly a month, I guess. But we welcome everybody watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all groups that allow us to share. You're always seeing them share, scrolling some of our favorites, scrolling most of our favorites, scrolling at the bottom of the screen. John Gonzalez at the Sports Authorities, Greg Rawlings at America's Pastime, the love of baseball. Flo and Can over there at Bottom Line Sports. Check out their podcast. They do a great job. Part of that, I think their main or their original podcast goes out on Let's Talk Sports, also a good friend of the show here. Ken Krause over at Golf Bud, Sports of All Sorts, and so many others here in the baseball realm. And when we're talking about other sports, those groups as well. So thank you. We appreciate you guys joining us week in and week out. We'll see where we go with this show as far as timing and dates, and we'll probably, whether we'll go every week or not, I don't know. We will for now, because hopefully there'll be some news breaking, right? We're going to touch on the awards if we like. We can touch quickly on some of those because we hadn't had a chance to talk about it. The Hall of Fame nominees, two of the steroid guys are left on the Veterans Committee, whatever we call it today. Don Mattingly, Dale Murphy, to me, the leading candidates on that ballot. But we'll talk about the worthiness, I guess, of everybody on that ballot. We can talk about some of the transactions we've already had. We've had a trade with the Mets and the Rangers, which I don't know, is a bit of a head scratcher for me, but we'll see how that goes. Dylan Cease signing a huge guaranteed contract with the Blue Jays also has me scratching my head. Mets picking up Devin Williams, a few other things in that regard. And, all of this with the winter meeting starting, I believe, today, possibly yesterday. What am I, November? I'm still looking at November on my calendar. How am I supposed to know what day it is? I guess today. The winter meetings kick off, which is usually the kickoff of the hot stove league, if you will, the hot stove time of the year. And will we have a lockout? Will some of this be irrelevant? I don't know. We'll see. But we're here with you guys for an hour, and we'll see how it goes from there. Good afternoon, Michael. Good to have you with us. Check out Michael's writings, as always, on TGI Sports Talk and my personal page and any of the groups. Let me share that, and thank you for that as well. Good to have you with us. No, it's fine. I was debating, Michael, whether to do it today or pick up next week once we'd had a little bit of a kickstart. But there's a few transactions certainly to talk about, certainly some news to talk about with that we haven't covered in almost a month since we've been gone. So we'll certainly jump into that. And you're certainly welcome. Hello, Scott Kobe. How are you? Yeah, interesting moves by the Red Sox, picking up a couple of starting pitchers in Sonny Gray and what's the other guy's name from the Pirates? I see escaping my. I'm too early here. Let me go back to where the Red Sox are. I should have done this by team, I guess. Who did they pick up? Who was the other guy they picked up, Scott? Sonny Gray. I thought there was another guy they got from Pittsburgh. Maybe I'm mistaken. I'm not seeing it here quickly as I look. I know they declined. I should say Giolito declined his option, and Bregman opted out. So we'll see. There he is. Thank you, Ovidio. Interesting pitcher. I'll tell you. I think those are two positive moves for the Red Sox, by the way, because since you brought it up, Scott, I'll start there. Sonny Gray pitches well everywhere except for with the Yankees. Also had some very nice things to say about the Yankees this week, didn't he? Sonny starts it off very quickly. Red Sox aren't done dealing yet. Michael believes. Do they trade Durant to the Royals for Reagans? That's an interesting 1-for-1 if that happens that way. Offense for pitching. I like Regan's. I think it's Regan's, isn't it? That'd be interesting. I think the Mets trade is. I scratch my head, but I find it kind of fascinating. Brandon Nemo traded for Marcus Semien, who had a down year last year. Nemo's been a very productive, consistent player for the Mets. And I think you're going to see a surge in his power numbers getting out of City Field and going into that more homer-friendly environment in Texas. And I think it's a good trade for the Rangers. I'm not sure about the Mets. If this was just an aberration for Semien last year, then they've gotten themselves a decent defensive player and a decent offensive player at a position that they've been weak at for a few years now. McNeil's been down for a few years, had injuries. Interesting that it comes out that McNeil had more issues with Francisco Lindor this past season, which did not come to light until after the season. He also had trouble with Lindor also ran in afoul of another player. You know, I'm not sure what's going on in Metland. There's a lot of talk in Boston that they may be in for Pete Alonso. I read a quick article today that they should be. I think it was in The Athletic. Not so much that it was anything solid, but just conjecture of bringing that 40-plus home run bat to Fenway. I'm not the biggest Pete Alonso fan, as you know from watching this show. I know the Mets are not. While I like to see legacy players, as Jack Hirsch likes to call them, my partner on Mondays and Friday mornings. Check out Jack and Keith's weekend update, by the way, weekend playbook. Sorry. Also have some news, by the way. We are now broadcasting as far as our network affiliation, by the way. We will no longer be going by National Streaming Sports. It'll be McGrath's Streaming Podcast Project. Brian Arntz is basically in charge of that change, and we'll have some logos and maybe some intros, and who knows what else we'll have. But Brian, we'll have more news about that going forward. I should have said that at the top. But again, no big fan of Pete Alonso here, as are not the Mets, because of the defensive metric part of this. Defense is a big part of the game. Pete Alonso does not play defense. If you're willing to sacrifice that part of the game, the Mets, maybe, if you listen to David Stearns, he talked about it last year when they were unwilling to go. He was only willing to go this far and no further for Alonso on a contract. I think you're going to see potentially the same situation this year. Again, it's nice to see legacy players. I'm sure the Mets would like Pete Alonso to be there for his entire career, because we don't see that anymore. But he's going to be a DH. That's why, I don't think the Yankees will be in on him. As heavy they are on analytics, man, they're not going to be in favor of that. Michael likes Semien to bounce back and have a good year for the Mets. We'll find out. Again, I have this conversation with Jack all the time about anybody coming. Sonny Gray's a great example. Guys come to New York and they pitch well elsewhere or play well elsewhere. And playing in New York is a different situation. Jack pointed out today, he didn't actually fight me on this comment this morning. I don't remember who we were talking about. Quite frankly, as far as playing in New York, he felt it was easier to play for the Mets than it was the Yankees in this regard. I won't argue that fact. I think it is more difficult. I think Yankee fans are far more passionate than Met fans. Sorry. They'll love you when you're doing good, and they'll hate you when you stink. Maybe Met fans are a little more apathetic. I don't know. Scott says the Red Sox need to add more than Reagan's to the Royals to get Reagan. I agree. I'm not trading Reagan's for Duran straight up. I think he's a Cy Young caliber pitcher. And it would take a lot more to get him. How about Toronto? 7 years. Dylan Cease is a Fine major league pitcher. Is he a great pitcher? I don't know. Is he top 10? I'm not so sure. He's pitched like it at times. He's very inconsistent in my mind. He's pitched for one of the better teams in baseball the last couple of years and hasn't set the world on fire. He's pitched well. But at 30 years old, I'm giving him 7 years, $210 million guaranteed. It's pretty ballsy. Toronto's all in. I fully expect them to re-sign Bo Bichette after this deal, quite frankly, because it shows me that they're still all in on winning. So I think you'll see something there. Michael's shocked the Mets. Shocked the Mets and their money don't just pay him what it takes to keep him. I don't get it. Must be something deeper. He's a face of that team and to their fans. First of all, again, I'm not in love with the guy. I can understand why the Mets are not in love with him. He's Dave. I've said this over and over again, and I get kickback. To me, he's just, this era's Dave Kingman. Maybe he hits for a little better average, but I can show you there are years where Dave Kingman had years exactly or better than what Alonso did last year. And Alonso's best year is that Kingman wasn't that far away. And they're similar defensive players. I guess I got to give Alonso a little bit of a lift over Kingman defensively, but I'm not a big fan. And again, the money. Here's the thing. I'm surprised at the Cease contract. I'm surprised anybody is going deep into their pockets and going way over, a cap, even if it's their own cap, with this labor issue looming. The owners are going to fight hard for a real cap, not one where you just go over it and just pay luxury tax. They want a real cap. The players are going to be against it. There's going to be a lockout. Again, I don't see any way. Here we are in December. No conversation's been had about a new labor agreement. And I think there's a 95% chance of a lockout come spring training. Hopefully it does not cost any regular season games. Again, I'm not in favor of billionaires and millionaires fighting. It's getting to be billionaires and billionaires almost. But I don't want to see this because I'm fed up with this nonsense. But something has to happen. And by the way, if they want a hard cap at the top, you better have a hard cap at the bottom. We've talked about this often on my shows. Danny's not here. I know he's been in favor, and some of you guys have commented on it in the past. These teams have got to be expected. If you want to compete, I'm going to make you compete. You can't just come in here and, pocket revenue money, shared revenue money, not spend it, not improve your teams. I don't know where it needs to be. But for you to buy a team, you got to be willing to spend money. And if you aren't, I'm not approving you as an owner. And if you're not willing to do it, I'm going to force you to sell your team. I understand that sounds a bit, tyrannical. But you have to find a way to entice these guys to spend money. Don't get in the game if you're just there, so you can have good seats at a bad team's home games? I expected a slow start to this off-season transactions. It hasn't been terrible. And again, this is really when things usually kick off, this week of the winter meetings. So we'll see if that does help, or if this looming labor dispute is going to affect player movement this year. And then we'll have the players charging collusion, and we'll have another off the field story to talk about. Agree, Scott. Just heard the rumor, also heard Cassis may be part of it. I think the Royals got to get more. The Red Sox get that rotation would absolutely be the best in baseball with Crochet at the top. If Sonny Gray pitches like he has everywhere but New York, you got a deal. And Bello slides your 5th spot, I'd be worried. And if I'm a Yankee fan, I'm worried. I got to find a way to get Bellinger, and they've got great competition for Bellinger. They're not getting him on the cheap this year like they did last year. If I'm the Yankees, I'm looking at Bellinger. I got to have Bellinger back. He's the whole linchpin, right? Then I'm looking for a third baseman. Maybe it's Bichette and a position change. Maybe it's Bregman. There was another guy I had in mind, and I'm not popping in my head right now, too. And a first baseman. Ben Rice is probably going to be the de facto guy. The first base, and that's where Alonso maybe is in a better position than he was last winter, because the first base free agent market is horrendous. The only guy to me worth anything in pursuing has already been locked up, Josh Naylor, who's a really, really good ball player defensively and offensively. And you saw a lot of that in last year's postseason. Locked up with the Seattle early, which takes him out of play. You know, if the Mets don't sign Alonso, where do they go? You're going to have to get a first baseman through a trade. The free agent market is just ugly. Cecil starts. Yeah, reliability, fine. I mean, availability, I get it, but is again, you know me. You're worth whatever somebody's willing to pay you. But is Dylan Cease, are you going to be happy paying him? And these teams know when they give these guys 7-year contracts that the last 2 years are just going to be pissing money away. I want to see something with Dylan Cease real quick. Hang on. I understand. Yeah, he led the majors in stats or in starts. That's all well and good. In those seasons, he had ERAs last year of 4.55. That's a $210 million pitcher. That's a $30 million pitcher today. 4.5. 2 years ago, 4.5. 2020, 4. 2019, when he was still a rookie, 5.79. Now in between, 3.47, 2.20. Very good numbers. Inconsistent. Too inconsistent for my taste. Yankees have been interested in him. I'm glad he went to a contender, a division rival, because again, I'm not the biggest fan. He's pitched okay. And again, I'm not disputing. He had the most starts, so that's fine. But again, it's just like innings eater, right? What good is a guy if he doesn't give me reliable innings? I'm not saying he stinks. Don't get me wrong. I would like to have him in the Yankee rotation for a lot less money. Cap both ways. Scott said, my belief, if the cap is set at like $50 million, then teams need to spend 90% as a floor, or face a harsh penalty for Major League Baseball. Well, the cap can't be $50 million. Oh, are you talking about that as the minimum? Right now, I'm thinking, look at what Hal Steinbrenner said about $300 million. I think some of those comments were because that you might want to read something into the owners thinking that $300 million or less is going to be the top cap. If that's the case, then the bottom cap's got to be at least $100 million. Can't be 50. You can't compete at $50 million. And maybe that's just a number you're throwing out there, Scott, but how can they compete at $50 million when you got teams out there spending, 2/3 of $1 billion? And again, that's just my own. I have no idea where the owners want to go. Let me see if I can get some. Where do MLB owners want cap? Hello, Danny. I see you there, by the way. I do want to get into this Hall of Fame thing, too, by the way. It's too funny. They mentioned just the Dodgers. And I can't come up with a number. That's why I'm trying to read between the lines of what Hal Steinbrenner had to say. Mike Francesa here in New York went off on his podcast. He's such a freaking blowhard. He rips Hal for, saying the Yankees won't spend more than $300 million. How about reading between the lines, Mike? I think there was something more to that. Hello, Danny. Good to have you with us. Red Sox, 2 stud starting pitchers in Pawtucket waiting. Future very bright for the Sox. We'll see. Sorry, Scott. You are what you pay says you are. That's a good line. No, again, listen, I have been this way. I'm a free market guy, right? I don't believe in limiting people's salaries necessarily. I guess you can have. I don't even care about salary caps, quite frankly. I talk about it from the standpoint of what's going to happen. I know where owners are going. I don't know if I even care. Buy the Yankees. Don't buy the freaking Royals. That's what George Steinbrenner said years ago. I bought the Yankees for a reason. If I wanted to be the Royals, I'd have bought them. But as a free market guy, everybody's worth what somebody's willing to pay them, which is kind of what Danny's saying, using some of my other phrases against me. But whether you earn that is a totally different thing. And maybe look at $30 million, earning $30 million on a team like the Blue Jays is different than earning $30 million on a team like the Rockies, I guess. It's all in the eye of the beholder. Mets, Ryan O'Hearn, Ryan Hoskins, no good. What did O'Hearn do this last year? Yeah, I mean, those are the best first baseman options out there. Those are not good options. O'Hearn's a DH. Another guy who can't play defense in my mind. A valuable guy to have on a team. I don't want him playing first base every day. Toronto's been passed over by numerous free agents, so they have to overpay to get any free agents in Toronto. I agree. I always thought, I don't know why I did not know this. And in fact, I learned it watching a documentary on the demise of the Expos. I always thought, and I'm pretty sure at one point this was the case, like in the 70s when free agency started, Expos had trouble luring free agents because they were going to get paid in Canadian dollars. Well, those Canadian clubs are operating on Canadian dollars, except what they pay to ball players here in the States. They're getting paid in U.S. dollars. So that contract is going to cost the Blue Jays a whole lot more than $210 million. And if you're Ohtani, are you going to Toronto when you can go to L.A.? Who else did they lose out on? They did keep their own free agent, don't forget, Scott, in Vladdy. So some guys want to play there, and it's a World Series team. Oh, I figured that. By the way, because if you were, it'd be funny if they went. The owner said, "I want $50 million to be the high cap." I like your idea. We've got to start penalizing teams for not paying money, though. You think the cap should be set at like 225 somewhere in there? What are the? Let's see. What's the range right now? Team. What if I put in salaries? I should get it right. 2025. Let's look at this. Payrolls. Mets were top 323. So 225. Now you're in the range. That's kind of where the Blue Jays are just over that at 239. Rangers, Astros all at 200,000. Padres over 200,000. Braves, Phillies 284. You get to the Phillies, the Yankees, Dodgers, and Mets. You're in the high 200s. It's going to be very hard. So if they make a cap at 225, how are the Dodgers and the Mets going to get under it? I think Hal Steinbrenner's preparing for there to be a cap. Now, the bottom side of this, $67 million for the Marlins. The A's, $73 million. You can't compete if teams are going to spend 3 and 4 times what you spend. And I don't think the answer is listen, I don't know that I'm even in favor of a cap. I'm in favor of a minimum. Force teams to compete. Who competed with low payrolls last year? The Guardians competed with $100 million payroll. The Brewers competed with 115, competed very well, by the way. But look at the other teams. The Tigers at 143. But everybody else at the bottom here, the Marlins, the A's, the Rays, the Pirates, the White Sox, the Nationals, the Reds, the Rockies, the Royals, the Cardinals, the Twins. After that, we start to get some competitive teams and spending more money. What's the common denominator there? Except for 2 teams in that bottom list that I just mentioned to you, they're all losers. Danny's feelings are what? Let's see. Can't I read today? My glasses must be filthy. My feelings are what were salaries 10 years ago, just like what was salaries 10 years from now. Yes, way overpaid, but Ohtani's contract in years now will look like a steal for the Dodgers, just my opinion, unless something big happens where pay rates go low. I'm having a little trouble following that, but that's probably me, not you. Well, look, if there's a hard cap, the Dodgers get penalized. The Dodgers have money and are willing to spend it. The Yankees have money and are willing to spend it. Well, maybe they're willing to spend it. You still got to spend it well. I'm really not, and that's just who I am in life, is I'm not a free trade restrainer. You let the free market reign, man, and I'm sorry, the bottom feeders end up washing out. And if part of this is we got to contract teams because they can't compete, well then, and we can't get owners in those markets, and we can't find markets that'll take them and spend money, then I'm okay retracting teams. You earn what you get. I'm sorry. I know I get the argument, school teachers shouldn't be making X. Well, nobody's paying to go watch school teachers. They have a very important job. Firefighters, policemen, all important jobs. Nobody's paying money to go see them work, though. Why don't we ever complain about actors and what they make? At the top, it's a whole lot more than what MLB players are making. But the military, look at teachers likely deserve more money. So do firefighters, so do police. They're all very important. I've never been a big one because this is real world. This is fake world. I get it. Soldiers should make more money, right? We need to take better care of our military. Not related to what we pay athletes. It's not. I'm sending talking texts. Oh, I see. I was afraid I had a stroke, Danny. If you're driving, be safe. Oh, my God. But again, let me see what else is going on here before we get too caught up here. Let's look at the rest of the transactions quickly. Where did I have these up here? I had them up somewhere. That's not what I wanted. Here we are. Now what the hell is this? Well, that's not what I wanted. All right, let's pull this up. I'll find what I wanted. Here's some of the deals since the last few days. We talked about the Red Sox acquiring Oviedo in a 5-player trade. They sent one of their heralded outfield prospects, Garcia, to Pittsburgh. I'm not even going to attempt his first name. Somebody tell me the pronunciation of this guy's name. I'll give you $1,000 in Monopoly money. Chris Mullins agreed to a 1-year deal with the Rays. Emilio Pagan's going to return to the Reds on a $20 million 2-year contract. Miguel Rojas will return to the Dodgers for what will be his final season in the major leagues on a 1-year deal for $5 million. Left-handed reliever Sam Hentges and the Giants agreed to a 1-year contract. Anthony Kay and the White Sox, 2 years, $6 million or $12 million. Nice deal for him. Cody Ponce, who was the KBO MVP last year, and the Toronto Blue Jays are in agreement on a 3-year, $30 million contract. He's a pitcher, another pitcher for the Blue Jays. They're going to need some pitching because you're going to see a big changes in their staff next year. KBO pitcher Ryan Weiss signed with the Astros on a 1-year deal. Alex Manoah and the Angels. This is a typical Angel deal. Alec Manoah. And a fairly big news, Devin Williams signs with the Mets on a 3-year deal worth $50 million guaranteed. Devin Williams better not be your closer, Met fans. I can tell you right now after watching him. That's how the topic came up this morning with Jack and I, as this just prompted me to remember. He did not pitch well in Yankee Stadium. He did not pitch well in the spotlight of closing. So the Mets better still be interested in Edwin Diaz or somebody else for the back end of that bullpen. This is not, I don't think, where they want to be with Devin Williams closing out games. I understand he pitched well in the past with the Brewers, but Milwaukee's not New York. We saw some evidence of what he's going to do there. Closer Ryan Hensley, Clay Hensley's a football coach. Signed with the Orioles, 2 years. No dollars announced. We talked about Dylan Cease. We talked about Sonny Gray. We talked about the Mets trade. Small deal with the Cubs. Phil Matan. The rest of these deals, nothing all that earth-raising. The Braves re-signed Iglesias to a 1-year, $16 million contract. That's fairly newsworthy. Oh, no. Damn it. Lost it. There we go. Anything else newsworthy in here? Grayson Rodriguez to the Angels for Taylor Ward from that's fairly interesting. Utility man these guys and their names. Duran from the Astros goes to the Braves. I like that trade. He's a guy that I like off the bench. Yankees and Trent Grisham. Yankees he accepted the qualifying offer of $22 million. I don't think that's a great move for the Yankees, by the way. Also accepting the qualifying offer of $22 million is Gleyber Torres, Brandon Woodruff from the Brewers, Cubs pitcher Emenaga. They all accepted qualifying offers, so they'll be pitching and probably renegotiating at the same time, pitching for $22 million next year or playing for $22 million next year. Ryan Yarbrough will be back in the Bronx. Josh Naylor, we talked about, signed a 5-year, $92 million deal with the Seattle Mariners. Great deal for them, by the way. And I think a good price for him. Brewers will keep Peralta. We talked about Giolito, and we talked about some other guys that declined. What else? What else we want to talk about? And what are your guys' thoughts And we don't have to get into the award voting, but I want to give some congratulations out to some guys that won. If you have any comments on this, you can certainly do that. I want to jump into the Hall of Fame nominees on the Veterans Committee, or whatever we call the damn thing today. AL MVP, Aaron Judge, congratulations on his third MVP. Just edging out Cal Raleigh a bit of a controversy there, if you will. Listen, either both of them are I would have voted for Raleigh, but I understand the people. Aaron Judge had a historic season himself, so congratulations to him. NL, easily Ohtani. I don't think there's any argument there. Kyle Schwarber finishes second. He'll be playing in the American League as a DH somewhere next year. Skubal wins the American League Cy Young. No surprise there. Paul Skeens wins the National League Cy Young. No surprise there. 10 wins. That's baseball. Nick Kurtz deservingly wins the AL Rookie of the Year. I think really the only candidate I would even consider. NL Rookie of the Year was Drake Baldwin with Atlanta. Again, a deserving candidate. Manager of the Year were repeats, both of them, Stephen Vaught and Pat Murphy. So congratulations to all of them. Yeah, I'd like to see. Well, Kyle Tucker's obviously the big name in free agency. I'd love to see him in Yankee Stadium. I don't see that happening. Tucker's a plus defender and a plus bat, and I think the best option out there for a lot of teams, unfortunately. And Bregman, again, two guys that fit needs for the Yankees. But the Yankees probably are not going to be able to get Bellinger and Tucker and Bregman and do what Hal Steinbrenner wants, which is stay under $300 million. But Tucker, you know, for whatever reason, I would watch out for the Braves and always the Dodgers. I think he's a really fine player. Yankees needs, though, third base to me is probably more of a need for the Yankees than outfield, and he'd have to play center field if he comes here, which he's probably not as adept at as right field. Michael wanted to see the big dumper win, but Judge deserves it, no doubt. I agree. I can't argue. Kurtz is a beast. Hope he keeps it up. Not a flash in the pan. He was fun to watch hit. I think he will be the real deal, and he'll look good wherever he's playing here in a couple of years. Michael liked Priester in the NL Rookie of the Year. He helped the Brewers to the best record in baseball. Let me just take a quick look at. Let's see, where'd Priester finish? Well, I can't even tell you his numbers off the top of my head because he didn't even get in the top 13, which means he did not receive a vote. Fine player, and he did help them. But again, I'm going to have trouble getting behind a guy who can't get one vote. We'll check his numbers maybe after. Are you talking about Pratt? No, I don't know who you're talking about, actually. It's the only guy I can. Priester, I'm not see. I don't see. I mean, they did get some support in Milwaukee. Caleb Durbin was second. Isaac Collins was third. I'm sorry, fourth. So I get it. Voters didn't see it the same way. Cubs really want Bregman. If that's where he wants to go. I think the Tigers are interested in Bregman as well. Look, a lot of teams are going to be interested in him. He's a fine player. He's still got a lot left. He's just got to stay healthy. Dodgers need a reliable closer. Are there, again, I'm not big on signing closers like Diaz. Are you going to pay? The Dodgers will. You're going to guarantee 5 years to any closers that are out there, like Edwin Diaz, for instance. Are we going to do that, Nanny? I mean, they might because of who they are. Diaz, 32 years old. 5-year deal. Suarez, 35. I'm not signing these guys long term. Those are the best guys out there. There's not a lot of there's no closers really available except Diaz and Suarez. And Iglesias already signed, Hensley already signed, Williams already signed. Those guys are going to get some pretty good deals because if the Dodgers are interested in with them, well, the market just goes flying up, right? And I'm sorry, I don't mean just the Dodgers. If the Mets and Dodgers are getting in a bidding war over Diaz, he makes out pretty well. And if he gets 5 years, if you get 3 good ones, you'll be happy. It's also a guy who's had a little bit of up and down trajectory throughout his career. Tucker visited the Jays. Look at it. That's why I think Bo Bichette resigns with the Jays because they look to be all in on getting back to the series and now winning it. Look what they're doing with the pitching. If they bring in Tucker, I don't think they're going to let Bo Bichette walk away. If he does, I hope he considers a. Oh, well, there you go. That's why I can't. That's why he didn't get a vote, probably. 5 years, guaranteed. Probably going to be what? How much do you pay him? I'm not going over $25 million. What's he making now? I mean, who have these guys signed? Well, Williams got $50 million. Those guys are better than Devin Williams. Better, longer track records, right? Williams got nasty stuff, but he just, I don't know, something in his makeup. I like Tanner Scott myself. Again, I think a guy with only really one good year under his belt when he got to the Dodgers. He could bounce back. They got a bevy. Turn one of their closers or their starters into a closer. Maybe you bring Goslin and make him a closer. Maybe he stays healthy that way. Dodgers could get Emmanuel Clase. Please. I mean, do we really think Ohtani bet on baseball? Come on. Although I've kind of reached the point where anything's freaking possible. All these things I go, come on, take off your tinfoil hat. Well, maybe I should put one on because I'm missing the signals here somewhere. Ohtani's ghost plane visited the LA. He was in Space Ghost. Remember Space Ghost? He was in his plane. Well, there you go. I'm Priester. So why did he get a vote? I'm looking for his votes. He didn't. Oh, that's right. It was the interpreter. Yeah, okay. I'm not buying that Ohtani was gambling. I'm sorry. I'm not. By the way, I'm also not buying the fact that the interpreter didn't bet on baseball. I'm just saying. I would tell you, why does a guy making $70 million a year care about betting on anything? But then you got guys pissing away, $30 million contracts in Cleveland. Class A says, let me throw a couple wild pitches for $30,000. So I can get my friends $150,000 in the Dominican or wherever he's from. I think it was a Dominican. I'm not sure. That's how the story goes, right? He was helping his friends. Why don't you just give him $150,000? I mean, nobody here is a rocket scientist. That's for damn sure. Now someone will say the Dodgers have been just fine the last 2 years without a closer. I disagree. They've been very good, but also very lucky. Did they not win 2 World Series? I'm not big on paying closers. That's just me. I think the Dodgers can probably find one without, again, money means nothing to the organization, obviously, as it doesn't to the Yankees. It's play money to them. So they can go find somebody and plug them into that position. But I don't think they're lucky 2 years in a row. Maybe they found a new model. Shitty closers. I think he will. I think Murphy and Mattingly get in. Let me see what Danny's got here first. It's a rush betting on a game. It's a rush. Is it really? It is. I mean, look I like to bet myself, and it is a rush, right? Having action is what it's all about. It's not winning or losing. It's having action on a game. That's for sure. I agree with you 100%, Danny. From what I know about the Class A and the other guy's story in Cleveland, they were helping other guys make money, though. It wasn't about a rush or anything else. They didn't bet. Other guys did bet, and they needed $150,000, so he threw a couple of wild pitches or balls. Or again, if you're going to allow freaking prop betting on individual pitches, you're just asking for trouble anyway. All this prop betting is what's wrong with it. It's fine to allow betting on wins and losses. Okay, there shouldn't be over/under betting. Although I do bet over/unders myself. There shouldn't be any prop betting in any sport. Easiest thing to fix. And this guy, as far as I know, Class A, was not looking for a rush. He was looking to help his friend get $150,000. Well, just give him the money. Now you've blown $30 million, you knucklehead. They can work a contract where they defer payments till 2075. That's fair. Listen, they found a great loophole. Back to the Hall of Fame. I do hope Mattingly gets in. And I think he's got a decent shot. I believe they have to get let me go back here. I believe they have to get this is called the ERA Committee. The Baseball Hall of Fame Sunday. This will be Sunday when they vote, by the way. So there are 16 available votes. I believe they have to get 12, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right or wrong? Why isn't it telling me? We'll go through this ballot in a second. 12. You need 12 votes. There you go. Mattingly, I think, got 6, I want to say, last time. You need 5 to stay on the ballot. But if you get 5, like 3 years in a row, you're off. And McGuire and Palmeiro fell off this list last year. So the PED guys are not getting any support here. They're not likely. We saw who was voted. How's Artie Moreno on this committee, by the way? But some of the people who are very anti-steroid are on it. Several Hall of Famers like Ferguson Jenkins and some others who have spoken out about the steroid guys. A couple other people on this panel are anti-steroid guys. It's unlikely Bonds or McGuire is going to get in. They're probably going to fall off this ballot. Sheffield, I think, gets lumped in with them as well. I don't think he gets anything. I think Mattingly and Dale Murphy are two guys that will potentially get in. The only other player I see that has a case here is Jeff Kent. Carlos Delgado doesn't feel like a Hall of Famer to me. Fernando, 100% no. Great pitcher for a short period of time. He was probably 30 when he got here, not 20. Have to cut him open and see how many rings there are, see how old he is. But I think Dale Murphy, back-to-back MVPs. Again, when you dominate your sport, the sport, we'll just talk about baseball for right now. When you're dominating the sport for crap. Sorry. Where'd my list go? Here we go. When you're dominating a sport for 5 or 6 years, Mattingly's case, 84 to 90, 89, that's a 90. He was among the preeminent players in baseball, often the best player in baseball. But he hurt his back and he lost really prime years from 29 to 34. Don't be punished for that. Kirby Puckett, go look at Kirby Puckett's numbers and look at Don Mattingly's numbers. Kirby Puckett's a great player. I don't want him out of the Hall of Fame, but I want Don Mattingly in. I mean, Ken has more 100 RBI seasons than any second baseman in history. Dale Murphy won back-to-back MVPs in the 80s, and that's from 80 to 87. He was an all-star and again, one of the preeminent players in baseball and won 5 gold gloves. Passes the eye test for me. And I watched him play. We had the Superstation. Before we had proliferation of baseball, I had the Yankees and I had the Braves and the Mets. Ugh. But I had the Braves every night in my living room. I watched a lot of Braves games. Dale Murphy was a great, great player. There's an interesting number, too. Murphy posted an 854 OPS, one of the analytical numbers I like, in more than 1,000 games in center field. Only one of 16 players to do so in history. 4 of those elite sluggers only 4 of those elite sluggers also won 5 gold gloves. Mays, Griffey, Edmonds, and Murphy. Pretty elite company. Edmonds also not in the Hall of Fame. I don't think anyone gets voted into the Hall of Fame this year. Remember, we're not talking about the main vote, Danny. We're talking about this Veterans Committee right now. Again, the main ballot won't be voted on until like February, I believe. If you want to talk about the regular ballot, I will tell you that I do think Carlos Beltran gets in this year, and I think Andrew Jones gets in this year, and I think that's it. So I think Murphy and Mattingly have a shot Sunday to get on this Eras Committee. We change the name of this committee every year. And I do think that Beltran will get over the threshold. He got what did he get? They don't give me. I guess they aren't going to show me what he got previously. He's pretty close, I think, last year. I think he's reached a high enough plateau that nobody's ever reached that plateau without getting in. Yeah, it's 12. So 2 different things, Danny. So if you have an opinion on Sundays, I guess you're saying none of them get in and none of the normal ballot get in either. It's fair. This Veterans Committee's been tough in the past. And they make some strange choices, right? They voted in guys like Harold Baines, Fred McGriff. Really good players. I don't remember them dominating the game for any period of time. Good players, consistent players throughout their careers. When were they the dominant players in baseball? Don Mattingly was. When were they among the dominant players in baseball? Don Mattingly was. Dale Murphy was. Can MLB go to a 9? What? Can MLB go to a 9 of 16? He's 12 of 16. Hard, right? That's 75%. I mean, that's exactly what it is for, on the regular ballot, Scott. So that they try to be consistent. And I think you should. I mean, I don't think you should have to get, what is that? I can't do math. 60% of the vote gets you into the Hall of Fame. Probably ought to be 90. Carlos Delgado getting buzzed to get in, according to shows on MLB Network. That's quite possible. I don't watch shows on MLB Network, rarely. Listen, Delgado was a fine player, but again, did you ever say that's one of the best players in baseball? Didn't have a position. I mean, again, factor in defense too. Defense matters. Carlos Delgado was not a good defensive player. Fine offensive player. And I'm not saying bad defensive players don't get in the Hall of Fame. They do. But when we're looking at this group, Mattingly and Murphy are head and shoulders above all these guys. And Kent's third in my mind. Delgado's a distant fourth. And I'm sorry, even though I think the steroid guys ought to get in and tell their story. You know how I feel about this. I don't think it's going to happen for either one of them, and I think they'll fall off the ballot. Manny Ramirez is in his 10th year of eligibility. Yeah, 10th and final year. There's a few of those guys. I pulled it up in the Baseball Reference, and it's not going to give me it'll just give me their stats. It's not telling me how long they've been on the Hall of Fame. Here we go. Beltran got 70% of the vote last year. Nobody's ever gotten that high and not got in. Same with Andrew Jones. I'm pretty sure nobody's ever gotten to 66 and not got in. Andrew Jones is maybe the best center fielder in the history of the game in my mind. Certainly the best center fielder I ever saw play. Now, I only got to see Mays at the end of his career. Andrew Jones was phenomenal. Also had a decent bat. Manny was at 34%. He's going to be off the ballot after this year. He'll be relying on the Veterans Committee to get in. Who else is it last year? Anybody else? He's the only one. Any first-timers? Cole Hamels, no. Braun, no. Gordon, no. Chu, no. There's not even anybody close of first-timers. Nobody even close. Jones is on his 9th. So is Pettit, I think. Omar Vizquel's on his 9th. Jones on his 9th. Maybe Pettit fell off already. I thought Pettit was on this ballot. Maybe Pettit's... Oh, there he is. He's on his 8th. I'm sorry. Pettit played his whole career in the Yankees with the Yankees. Didn't leave for Houston. He'd be in the Hall of Fame. He'd have been the Yankees' all-time win leader. He'd be in the Hall of Fame. Andrew Jones made center field look very easy, and it's not. I agree. Great player. Well, guys, I think we'll wrap. Oh, excuse me. We'll call it a wrap there, if you don't mind. I'm happy to oblige. We'll probably be back next Friday, definitely, with some news from the winter meetings. Hopefully, we'll get some movement on labor issues before February when we got to lock out players to get them to talk. So hopefully that isn't where we end up. But I'll be back on Sunday with the Sunday Stream of Consciousness, back on Monday morning with the Jack and Keith Weekend Playbook. We hope you guys have a great weekend. Go Donnie Baseball in the Hall of Fame. Be there. Be wild. Thank you, Michael. Have a great day. Bye-bye.